Number 10. Contractor. A former NASA contractor went on video to reveal the fact that NASA has been keeping secrets from us. She says she both viewed and heard evidence that 3 NASA astronauts said that they had seen unidentified flying objects land on the moon, but that these events were later covered up in an operation that was codenamed Santa Claus, a fitting name as NASA wants you to believe that UFOs are just about as real as Santa. She says that she had clearance to enter Building 8 at NASA's Johnson Space Center back in the 1970s. She says that she received information over lunch from officials that if anyone was ever caught exposing aliens as real, they would lose their pensions, and apparently one person in the past had not only lost their pension, but had disappeared off the face of the earth. In the video, she said, "They didn't threaten to kill me, but I got the message I shouldn't talk about it." She apparently witnessed everything from employees being forced to burn photographic evidence and seeing official pictures being airbrushed to hide UFOs. Number 9. The Kecksburg File. On the night of December 9th, 1965, a giant fireball which caused a sonic boom streaked across the sky before crashing into the woods in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania. Military immediately arrived and sealed off the area, hauling off a massive object the size of a bus to their Air Force base nearby in Ohio. The Pentagon immediately tried to cover it up, saying it was a meteorite, releasing no details about the incident. But in 2003, NASA went on to say that it was not a satellite, but 2 years later in 2005 they said, yeah, actually it was a satellite, just don't worry about it. The cover-up seemed never ending, and it just led more and more people to become interested in finding out the truth of the Kecksburg file. A Freedom of Information Act was then started to get the file looked into again, and the judge threw away NASA's attempts to have the lawsuit thrown out. So in 2007 they announced they would be reopening the Kecksburg file, but they claimed that a majority of the files had been destroyed or lost, and they never released what it actually was that crashed that day. Number 8. Astronaut. Like I said in the first point, there is allegedly a conspiracy within NASA to cover up any of their employees or former employees talking about the fact that they have had alien experiences. But as I have mentioned in other parts of this list, there are actually a handful of astronauts who have spoken out about potentially alien encounters. Leland Melvin is probably best known for taking his astronaut photos with his rescued dogs, but what you're probably not familiar with is the fact that he has shared his alien experiences on Twitter. He received a question on Twitter that read, "What's your outlook about the existence of intelligent alien life living in our solar system? Have you ever witnessed a UFO?" And Leland went on to respond with, "I have not seen one in space or on the ground, but thought I saw something organic/alien-like floating out of the payload bay. Randy Bresnick and I called the ground to ask what it could be, and they said it was ice that had broken off of the Freon hoses. Translucent, curved, organic looking, with an alien emoji at the end." Of course, he explains it by saying it was just ice, but that was probably just NASA feeding them an easy cover-up. Number 7. Moon crash. The Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter is similar to the Mars Orbiter that I have talked about before. It basically watches over the moon and takes pictures of its surface. Earlier this year, they released a photo that had many people scratching their heads and insisting that NASA was doing yet another cover-up. The photo shows the surface of the moon with what is called a double impact crater. While the moon is covered in tons of craters, this one is unique for this reason. The evidence of the dozens of feet wide indentation seems to show that some sort of man-made spaceship crashed into the moon and left the divot. Many people on social media believe this to be evidence that some sort of alien craft had hit the moon, but NASA tried to shut everyone up by claiming it was just an out-of-control rocket. While they seem to know it was a rocket, they admitted that they don't have any idea where it came from or what its original path was intended to be. So even if it's not aliens, it's still pretty confusing. Number 6. Alien photo. Mars is one of the main planets that many people believe could be host to aliens, hence the term Martians and all the fictitious media that includes alien creatures visiting from Mars. On February 4th of this year, one person online dug up a photo that the Perseverance rover had taken on Mars back in 2021. The title of the blog post being, "Alien Figure Watching Mars Rover, 100% Proof of Life UFO Sighting News." The image seems to show a dark figure laying on a large Martian rock. It's distinctly human-shaped and darkly colored and stands out from anything else in the area or what we've seen in previous pictures. The man explains in his blog post everything that he believes it to be. There is a person laying down watching the NASA Mars rover from a safe distance away. The person is about 1 foot tall, 0.3 meters, and is lying down. Pinkish upper chest, neck and face, reddish hair, wearing a dark suit, but has a gray object over one shoulder. Looks like a backpack of some sort. There are even footprints behind the person leading up to the location they chose to lay down at. If you don't agree with that, then what do you think it could be? Number 5. Mercury UFO. Project Mercury was NASA's first ambitious space mission, which took place back in the early 1960s, which included 6 manned space flights. But that isn't what we're going to be focusing on. One of the Mercury probes sent out into space took a picture of what appears to clearly be a UFO. A photo that a NASA blogger found in an old disk from the mission that took place in December 1960 appears to show a strange shape that looks like it could be an alien spacecraft. While many arguments against UFOs are that they're just random space junk, this was at the beginning of NASA's steps out into space, so there really couldn't have been that many rocket pieces and broken panels floating around. The blogger says that he believes this is aliens wanting to watch one of humanity's biggest steps, not worrying about being seen because this particular craft didn't actually have any humans on it. Number 4. Deleted UFO. This same blogger also recently found evidence of NASA purposefully covering up and deleting archival photos that appear to show evidence of aliens. He found a photo of what appears to be a large, dark, rectangular alien ship flying past the sun, and he also found that NASA is trying to hide it. On his blog, he said, "I found a huge rectangle UFO shooting past our sun, and it's got to be several miles across or more. I tried to find it on another NASA site, but I got an error message. Then I tried using official European Space Administration software, and again, error message. Then I went into the individual photos online and input my own URL, but these photo times do not exist. That's 3 different sources all erased from existence. I found it at a 4th source." He says that he won't reveal this other source as he doesn't want it taken down as well. There are 20 different photos in a row that all show the unidentified craft, and he calls NASA out for never saying anything about it. Number 3. Mars photos. I talked about this on a separate list, but I also wanted to touch on it here too. We've taken a look at one Mars rover photo already, but I want to dive into just how many of these there are. People are constantly picking out unexplained and potentially alien things popping up in these photos of the red planet. One of the most baffling recent images is this one that appears to show some sort of carved out entryway which people believe must lead to some sort of alien hideout on the planet, looking too precise to have been caused by natural weather and environment conditions like NASA claims. There have also been many rocks that appear to be much more than just rocks, as they stand out from anything else in the photos, almost looking like a sort of coral growing out from the ground through the dust. There are a lot of them, and NASA has attempted to explain away all these photos, but there is still just a lot of mystery there. Number 2. The Calvine photo. This one is similar to the Kecksburg file in the way that it is also a UFO encounter from many decades ago that NASA tried to hide away by claiming it was lost. The photo was taken in August 1990 by 2 hikers near Calvine in Scotland. It shows what is clearly a large diamond-shaped vessel flying through the sky, being trailed by another airplane. They took pictures and said it appeared to be about 30 meters long. It apparently then shot straight up into the sky and disappeared, never to be seen again. The photo was first given to the newspaper and then handed over to the Ministry of Defense, and then it was never discussed again, and the photo apparently went missing. In October of 2021, the Scottish Operations Records book was checked, and there was no account of anything having been spotted in the sky on that day. One determined individual, however, managed to track down the lost photo, and about it they said, "The Calvine photograph stands as one of the biggest mysteries in UFO history. Finally revealed after 32 years, it shows that answers only bring new questions." Number 1. Space nudes. In May of this year, it was revealed to the public that NASA was going to be sending a message out to aliens, calling it the Beacon in the Galaxy. It's a binary coded message that includes details about our planet and human life that is going to be shot into space for anybody to find. One of these images was revealed to be an image of what a genetically male and female human look like, and yes, it has all the details. It also includes a diagram of gravity so aliens know which part of us is the top and which is the bottom. Other images included are the solar system diagram, a map of Earth's landmass, and depictions of things like like mountains and trees. So yes, NASA is actually sending our nudes out to space. The fact that they are doing this shows that at least a small part of the organization believes that aliens are out there to receive this message.
Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have exoplanets. One of the first things spoken about in the 12-minute long anonymous video is that around 25 years ago, we didn't know that planets existed outside of our solar system. While that seems hard to believe, that is actually basically true, keeping in mind that this video was released in 2017. The first exoplanets, which are what planets outside of our solar system are called, were discovered in 1992, which is super recently. The video then goes on to explain that today we have found over 3,400 exoplanets that orbit other suns. This may seem redundant or unimportant, but this is a really important part of our search for alien life. With the vastness of space, there are so many places that need to be searched, so we have to find some place to start, and these planets are the perfect place. It is entirely possible that alien life may thrive off of entirely different things than life as we know it. The things we need to survive might be detrimental to alien life, but how are we supposed to know that when we don't know any aliens? This is why we started our search by looking for places with conditions similar to Earth, which we now call habitable planets. Part of a habitable planet's requirements is that they are orbiting a star, but that they aren't too close or too far from it like we are with the sun. So what the video is trying to get across is that while 25 years ago we didn't know any, we now know of thousands of planets that might be holding some kind of alien life. While we haven't found the proof yet, we at least have a pretty stellar starting point. In our number 9 spot today, we have Dr. Brian O'Leary. One thing Anonymous mentioned in the video was an apparent quote from Dr. Brian O'Leary, who's a former NASA astronaut and Princeton physics professor. The video stated that he said that there is abundant evidence that we are being contacted, that civilizations have been monitoring us for a very long time, and that their appearance is bizarre from any type of traditional materialistic Western point of view, and that these visitors use the technologies of consciousness, they use droids, they use co-rotating magnetic disks for their propulsion systems, which seems to be a common denominator of the UFO phenomenon. I obviously have no idea how I could possibly substantiate these claims, but they certainly are interesting regardless of what you personally believe. This could of course just be nonsense in order to stir up the masses, but it could also be someone who's finally telling us the truth, but we're all just too skeptical at this point to believe it. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of what Dr. O'Leary said. Do you think it's a hunk of baloney, or do you think that he just might be telling the truth? In our number 8 spot today, we have the FBI documents. Around the halfway mark, the person in the anonymous video begins to discuss some sort of FBI documents that are apparently unclassified, just sitting there on the website. The video claims that the documents suggest that we've not only been visited by aliens from space, but also beings from other dimensions. The video does explain that the document didn't originate from within the FBI, but rather from a university department head, but that the FBI treated the document with the utmost importance, which is certainly interesting. It's also very important to note, however, that this document was sent in 1947. I'm not sure if that makes the claims more or less likely or credible, but the timing of it definitely seems important, at least to me. While this is one of those things that you have to draw your own conclusions from, in the video it is mentioned that while we are arguing whether or not supposed UFO or alien sightings have really taken place here on Earth or in space, there are real instances of extraterrestrial beings visiting us, but we're just too focused on the debate to open our eyes and see for ourselves. In our number 7 spot today, we have esoteric matters. After the discussion of the FBI documents, there is a claim that these beings that have apparently been visiting us are coming not from a planet as we think of it, but rather some sort of etheric planet that interpenetrates with our own, but that we are unable to perceive. Apparently, if you're a student of esoteric matters, these concepts will make a lot more sense to you, or so this anonymous video claims. Apparently, these alien beings are able to make a conscious decision to enter our plane, and in that same respect, they're also to make a decision to disappear from our view. Apparently, they're visiting us as they are thinking about settling here on our plane, and that they are coming here peacefully. During these visits, they are also said to have technology that would destroy any sort of attack made on them, so it is advised that if they do make themselves visible to us, we do not attack or make them feel threatened. I'm not so sure about this one, but at the end of the day, I am certainly no student of esoteric matters, so maybe it's just something that my brain cannot comprehend with the knowledge I currently have. In our number 6 spot today, we have this UFO footage. This UFO footage is coming from another anonymous video which claims that real UFO footage is always censored and that this video has been previously censored, but they were here to expose the truth. It is unclear where this UFO video was taken, and at the end of the day, I'm no expert in debunking these things, so it's tough to say whether or not it's real, but let's all just take a look and you can judge for yourselves. I know that wasn't the most exciting video, but what do we think aliens are going to be doing if they really are visiting us? What do you guys think? Do you guys think that this video is really showing some sort of UFO? And if you do you think it's aliens or just some sort of secret project that we aren't privy to? In our number 5 spot today we have Perseverance. A point that was made in the video is something that we are actually now watching happen in real time, and that is the mission to Mars for the Perseverance rover that is currently there digging around in the soil. The video stated that Mars may hold signs of an ancient environment that may have been favorable to microbial life. Well, that is exactly true, and the reason the rover is there at all. The Perseverance rover launched from Earth on July 30th, 2020 and made an incredible and successful landing on Mars on February 18th, 2021. While the rover has provided us with some incredible high-definition photos of the red planet which truly are incredible to look at, its main objective is to dig around and search for ancient signs of life, collecting rock and soil samples for a possible return to Earth for further research. While Mars' thin atmosphere is unable to shield the planet from the high amounts of radiation coming from space now, it is thought that the atmosphere did once act as a better shield, and that the environment of Mars may have once been a great host for life, which is exactly why this mission is so important. While when the anonymous video was first released, we were still a ways away from the Perseverance mission taking place, it's really cool to see how it has come to fruition, and it's exciting to see the new photos and discoveries that are made each day. In our number 4 spot today we have UFO footage part 2. We have to include just one more video of what is claimed to be proof of aliens visiting us on Earth before we get back into the more sciencey top 3 points. This is another video that was uploaded by a member of Anonymous, and it comes from 2017. The video features a dark sky, but it shows what looks like some sort of aircraft with a few flashing lights, and it seems like it is able to basically just hover there. Not long after the video starts, another mysterious UFO seemingly joins the first one, and the two are just seen floating there. What do you guys think these could be? I obviously don't know what an alien aircraft would look like, so it's tough to say if this is a realistic example or not. All I know is that if this isn't someone playing a trick and they really saw this in the sky, I have no other possible explanations of what it could be. In our number 3 spot today we have TRAPPIST-1. Before I dive into this one guys, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying the video so far. One of the things Anonymous mentioned in the video was a nearby star called TRAPPIST-1. The video didn't go into too much detail about this, but I'm here to do that now so we can all know what they were talking about. While TRAPPIST-1 is a star, the revelation that the video spoke about was that this star has an entire solar system of Earth-like planets. This discovery first came in 2017, and upon further research, in 2018 it was revealed that some of the planets just may harbor even more water than Earth does. Some of the planets are a little too close to the star, so the water is more atmospheric water vapor. The ones in the middle have liquid water, like us, and the furthest ones have ice. TRAPPIST-1 is now the most thoroughly known planetary system apart from ours, which is kinda cool. While the Anonymous video made it seem like there was a full-blown advanced alien civilization living in this solar system, there still might be potential for some form of microbial life that we just haven't quite found yet. And that is very cool. In our number 2 spot today we have Enceladus. If you had heard of Enceladus before the Anonymous video, there's a good chance you knew it is basically an icy snowball floating around in space, or perhaps you simply knew it as a small moon of Saturn with a diameter of 502 kilometers, but as it turns out, this small moon might hold some pretty amazing potential. It was discovered that this moon has hydrothermal processes going on underneath its crust. To us non-scientists that means next to nothing, but what if I said that means that it just just might have all of the requirements for life, and that it is becoming a greater possibility that we might find microbial life there. Basically, this moon has an icy shell for a surface and then a rocky interior, but between those two layers is a warm ocean, and this ocean is where scientists think the life is most likely to be. This discovery came almost accidentally when the Cassini orbiter arrived to Saturn in 2005, and it found water plumes shooting out of the cracks in the surface of the moon, which made scientists realize that it just may be geologically active. Through more research and by flying the orbiter through the water, by the time 2015 rolled around, scientists knew that it was holding all of the keys to life. While this little moon was never the original focus of research, it quickly took over with its incredibly exciting potential. In our number 1 spot today we have Europa. We've got another moon to talk about that was mentioned in the video that also just might be holding the keys to us finding alien life, but this time we're taking it over to Jupiter and its icy moon Europa. Europa has been a point of interest for a while after NASA's Galileo Jupiter probe in the 1990s revealed an unusually warm spot in Europa's cold surface. In March of 2014, the Hubble telescope detected what scientists thought might be a plume of water vapor, but the caution turned to cautious excitement and optimism in February of 2016 when the telescope caught another, much larger plume in the same spot. This has led to the creation of the Europa Clipper mission. While this mission doesn't yet have a set date, it will see an orbiter flying to Europa to fly through these plumes in an attempt to see what they are made out of, similar to the one we just talked about, to see if it really is holding the key to life, or maybe even life itself. One of the scientists on the Clipper mission, Robert Pappalardo, explained that if there is life on Europa, it almost certainly was completely independent from the origin of life on Earth. That would mean the origin of life must be pretty easy throughout the galaxy and beyond.
Coming in at number 10 we have WOW. The WOW signal of 1977. Over 40 years ago, the Big Ear Radio Telescope of Ohio State University detected something very strange indeed. An intense radio signal coming from the constellation of Sagittarius, which is about 5,000 light years away, was kicking off. The surprising sound lasted for 72 seconds and then was never heard of again. This is what it sounded like. Astronomer Jerry R. Eman noted the anomaly and simply wrote "wow" in his notes, which is how it came to be known as the WOW signal. Wow. Many scientists agree that it sounded like it could be of extraterrestrial origin. To this day, it remains one of the most convincing pieces of evidence for having experienced alien contact. Now, if aliens were trying to contact us though, it's likely that they would be long dead by now, as the area of space that the signal was coming from actually probably would have taken thousands of years to reach us. Coming in at number 9, we have the Silpho secret. In February 2018, a box containing alien hieroglyphics were found, and they were very similar to those found on the wreckage of the UFO that crashed in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. The box was part of a recovered wreckage from an unidentified flying object that crashed in Seafo Moor in Scarborough. The box was part of recovered wreckage from an unidentified flying object that crashed in Seafo Moor in Scarborough, England. The remains had been housed at London's Science Museum since 1963, 5 years after the crash, which happened around the same time that Sputnik was launched. In 2018, a box containing fragments from the crash was rediscovered, and when a piece of the base was cut open, out came a book made of copper sheets, and they were found to contain strange symbols. A local cafe owner, Philip Longbottom, to me that sounds like a bit of a fake name, but sure, he said that he had translated the symbols and that they were a message from an alien called Ulo. Ulo was warning the human race to improve or disappear. Wah wah wah. Coming in at number 8 we have the Phoenix Lights. Were aliens trying to send a message with a light show? Some people certainly think so. It seems that in March 1997, over 20 years ago, a lot of people from Arizona and Nevada in the United States, as well as thousands of people from Mexico, reported seeing large spherical lights of different colors in the sky. Many say they saw red, orange, yellow and white lights flying around with no explanation. People believed that they were coming from triangular unidentified flying objects. Now, I know what you're thinking, this sounds like a hoax, with people jumping on the bandwagon, but aside from there being thousands of reports, it seems that actually many credible sources came forward to say that they themselves had seen the lights. This included the Arizona governor at the time, Fife Symington. On record, he said it was bigger than anything that he has ever seen, and it remains a great mystery. Interestingly, some people reported an amnesia-like state following their exposure to the lights. Some say the flyby light show was a way in which aliens were trying to communicate with them. Coming in at number 7, we have the roar. It has been 13 years since space roared right at us. Blimey. So the story goes that in 2006, while the rest of us were listening to British indie and watching the World Cup and mourning the death of Steve Irwin, a group of California astronomers heard something very, very loud. Like, seriously, really, really, really loud. The Californian team were attempting to detect the very first stars in the universe, but instead of recording ancient cosmic light, they heard an almighty radio wave roar. In fact, this roar was 6 times greater than the combined emission of all known radio sources ever made, so, well, that's some space lion. While this wasn't the sound of the Big Bang, it was the sound of something mysterious from the early beginnings of the universe. Was it a message from our creators? We don't know. Next up we have the impossible fossil, the Coso artifact. The Coso or Coso artifact was a piece of 500,000-year-old geode discovered by Mike Mickelson in Death Valley, California in 1961. Strangely enough, inside the geode, instead of a hollow cavity, there was a piece of porcelain and a magnetic shaft of metal. The outer layer of the geode was allegedly encrusted with fossil shells and fossil fragments dating back 500,000 years. This led to shock from the geological world. This kind of fossil was impossible, there shouldn't be anything close to man-made in the geode, and this led to a lot of people believing that the artifact was evidence of an ancient civilization or a secret message left on Earth by aliens waiting to be discovered. In the end though, it seems that actually the item encased was a spark plug, which many saw as evidence of time travel, although most credible geologists now think the plug ended up in a rock via concretion, although I still think this is really, really weird. Coming in at number 5, we have the Wiltshire Wonder. In August 2017, video footage emerged of a crop circle forming under a ball of light in a Wiltshire field. Wiltshire is in the west of England, and that has been home to many, many, many crop circle mysteries. A lot of people believe crop circles to be signs made by aliens. I mean, has anyone seen the 2002 movie Signs? Basically what was happening in Wiltshire was like a real scene out of the movie. Have a look at this footage shot over a crop circle.
Can you see those? If those are UFOs. Oh man.
Are the lights an elaborate part of the hoax, or are these real alien signals? Coming into number 4, we have the Seti Signal. In 2016, it was widely speculated that Seti may have heard from an alien civilization. Russian astronomers detected a signal from a star just 94 light years away from Earth, a star a lot like our own. Neighbours? Friends? Signals from star HD 164595 were picked up, and people were really excited as the signal came from within our own galaxy, the Milky Way. It's now speculated though that the signal had come from a Russian satellite. Buzzkill. Had the signal come from another sun, it could have indicated a Type 2 civilization. We're a Type 1 civilization, we found the way to use technology to harness the power of the sun, but a Type 2 civilization is like directly using the sun, which is pretty exciting. Coming in at number 3, we have the ancient travelers of Salamanca. The Cathedral of Salamanca was built between 1513 and 1733 in Spain, so long before humans had set their sights on space travel. So why then does the cathedral contain what is clearly an image of an astronaut in a space jacket? He's wearing a helmet and space boots and everything. Many people think that this is evidence that an alien society existed before ours. In actuality, it isn't a secret message at all. The cathedral was restored in the 1990s, and the stone carving of the astronaut was a later addition, perhaps a joke from an architect. It does continue to vex passers-by though. Coming into number 2, we have the fast radio bursts. For the past few years, scientists have been picking up strange signals from a distant galaxy as part of Breakthrough Listen. The Breakthrough Listen project set out to scan space for alien life or messages, and well, they may have done just that. The bursts were first detected in 2015, and since then, they have been heard around 24 times. The very short bursts sound a bit like ambulance sirens. A researcher at Breakthrough Listen, Danny Price, said, "There are lots of theories out there. He continued by saying there are some theories that they are from extraterrestrials. What? Other theories are that they actually could be the sounds of a big deep space event, like the sound of a star exploding, or perhaps the sound of a black hole, something along those lines. Right now, Breakthrough Listen are trying to figure out what they may mean and pinpoint where exactly they're coming from. Coming into number 1, we have Oumuamua. Oumuamua was first spotted from Hawaii in October 2018 and has since been heavily observed since. It's an interstellar alien comet that entered our solar system from a solar system beyond our very own, which is the first time that we have actually ever observed something truly alien close to home. The name it was given, Oumuamua, means messenger from afar. Some people think that the unusually shaped comet is actually an alien spaceship. They believe it's coming to deliver a secret message, or perhaps just checking out our hood. The reason people think it is a spaceship is because of its weird shape. It appears to be almost 10 times as long as it is wide. Rough calculations suggest it measures 100 feet by 100 feet by 600 feet, and that it spins on its axis every 7.5 hours. Now, we could only observe it as it flew by, but really, we have no idea what it is.
Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the mysterious beam. Pretty recently, scientists explained that they captured a mysterious beam of energy that was coming from the star that is the closest known star to the Sun, Proxima Centauri. This star is small and low mass and is located around 4.2 light years away from us. The thing about this star is that it has one rocky exoplanet that is 17% larger than Earth in its habitable zone, which would make liquid water a possibility on the planet. This planet's habitability has been disputed throughout the years, but this signal could be a sign that it may be even more habitable than any of us know. Scientists explained that the signal shifted while it was being observed, which mimicked the shift caused by a movement of a planet. They're taking extra precautions to figure out what exactly caused this shift in case it was some sort of mundane source. It will, of course, take some time to figure out, but it's all very exciting. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Venus Cloud. Last year in September of 2020, astrobiologists everywhere were excited and skeptical of some new potential evidence that had been found in the upper clouds of Venus. Firstly, can we just take a second to really think about how cool of a job an astrobiologist has? Anyway, the new findings were pointing to the potential of the presence of phosphine in the clouds. Phosphine is a rare and usually poisonous gas that on Earth is basically always met with the presence of living organisms. Venus hasn't really been top of the list of choices for finding potential life due to its surface temperature and pressure and the sulfuric acid clouds, but this evidence could prove to say something otherwise. 2 separate telescopes were able to pick up the signatures of phosphine in a cloud that had a similar temperature and pressure to Earth, and while this isn't concrete evidence of space bugs, it will at least be a reminder that we should be continuing to look for life even in the most unlikely places. And hey, maybe it is space bugs. In our number 8 spot today, we have Oumuamua. Okay, so this is one piece of evidence that actually has scientists fighting over what is going on with it. So a few years ago, scientists all agreed that we had found an object that was flying through our solar system, and they called it Oumuamua, and it was widely agreed that it was an interstellar comet that had swung out from around another star. But upon closer examination, they realized that something was propelling it and causing it to accelerate, and this is when the debate started, because they just don't know why. Avi Loeb, who's a Harvard University astrophysicist, proposed the idea that rather than a comet, this could be an alien probe that is being pushed by a light sail, which is a very wide but extremely thin piece of material that accelerates by being pushed by solar radiation. Other scientists didn't agree with this and instead said that it's possible that hydrogen ice could have melted off of the object in a way that would mimic a rocket engine or something of that nature, but in August of last year, Avi wrote in a study that hydrogen ice is too easily heated and it would have melted off long before it reached our solar system. I guess we just have to wait it out while the scientists debate and gather more evidence to really know what's going on behind this one. In our number 7 spot today, we have the NASA Viking experiment. This is one of the more debated ones on today's list, but that does not mean it isn't evidence. In 1976, NASA's Viking landers tested the soil on Mars and found some chemicals that could be attributed to signs of life. The soil was mixed with radioactive carbon-labeled nutrients and then tested for the production of radioactive methane gas. The test ended up receiving a positive result, which could indicate that something in the soil is metabolizing the nutrients to produce the gas. Despite further efforts, there still hasn't been any life found, but one of the scientists who worked on this original project, and others as well, stand by what they found and argued that the technology at the time wasn't advanced enough to find the key evidence of life. Hopefully with the new Perseverance rover that landed recently, we'll be able to find the signs on Mars that we have been looking for. In our number 6 spot today, we have black holes. When we think of black holes, we usually think of how absolutely terrifying they are, but that may be changing. There has actually been the discovery of a planet that is floating around a black hole. The forces around the hole are also providing heat for the planet as well, but there is one catch, and that is the fact that the planet needs to orbit at the speed of light. This would mean that a second on that planet would be hours on ours, which is kind of difficult to comprehend. The planet would have to be in what is called the Goldilocks zone though, because if it's too far from the black hole, it'll be too cold and there won't be any liquid water, but if it's too close, it will of course be sucked into the black hole by the gravitational forces. It's definitely a pretty crazy idea, but it is possible that there could be some life in this situation. In our number 5 spot today, we have fossilized microbes. Another piece of controversial evidence that came from Mars was announced in 1996. NASA scientists announced that they had potentially found what appeared maybe fossilized microbes in a lump of Martian rock. It is likely that this rock came off during some sort of Mars collision and just casually floated around the solar system for 15 million years before landing in Antarctica in 1984. Just casual space stuff. After analyzing the rock, it was revealed that it contained organic molecules and small specks of mineral magnetite, which is sometimes found in the bacteria on Earth. And upon further analysis with an electron microscope, it was claimed that there were signs of nanobacteria. Since then, some claim that the magnetite wasn't that similar to those found in bacteria, and there is a belief that the signs of nanobacteria could have been grown in a lab. In our number 4 spot today, we have UFO footage. Remember last year when the Navy released footage of UFOs, but we were in a global pandemic, so we didn't really have time to freak out about it? Well, let's freak out about it now, because what the heck was captured on those videos? The US Navy released footage last year where they had captured video of some sort of wingless aircraft that was traveling at hypersonic speed. Of course, people are wary to believe that this is true signs of alien life and alien visitors, but the thing is, we simply just don't really know what this is. We know it's not something that is known to us yet, so this could definitely be a sign of some sort of alien life, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see. In our number 3 spot today, we have this bacterial experiment. So we've talked a bit on today's list about how we tend to think of life only being able to exist on other planets that are similar to ours with a similar atmosphere within a certain distance of a star, but we've also discussed how this more narrow thinking might not be the best scenario. On Earth, most living creatures require oxygen to live, but the problem with a lot of planets is that there's far more hydrogen and helium. Last year, scientists decided to take 2 different bacteria. One was E. coli, which can be found in the guts of humans, and ordinary yeast, which is used in things like bread and beer. With these 2 bacteria, they tried to see if they could live in different environments. When placed within flasks that contained either pure hydrogen or pure helium, they still managed to grow, just at a slower pace. This evidence goes to show that there might be living organisms that we haven't found yet because we are just looking in the wrong places. In our number 2 spot today, we have the fact that they might have died off. This one is a bit disappointing, to be honest, but it basically is just a theory that it's probably pretty likely that there were aliens at some point, but since the universe is so old, they might have already died out. All life and cultures rise and fall, and researchers put together a model last year that would give more insight into the likelihood of this theory. They took things into account like sun-like stars that are not too close or too far from planets that are similar to Earth, as well as how frequently there are deadly radiation blasting supernovas, which of course would prove to be a huge problem for life forms, as well as the time that it takes for intelligent life to evolve, provided all the conditions are right. And once the evolution has taken place, how long would it take for a tool-bearing form of life to then destroy itself? That's a lot of factors to consider, and through all of this, it was found that the highest likelihood of life before ours in the Milky Way emerged around 5.5 billion years ago, which would place that before our planet was even formed. This, of course, would have provided plenty of time for all of the events I just mentioned to have occurred. I hope this one isn't true because I really do hope that there are aliens out there. In our number 1 spot today we have Europa. One of Jupiter's moons called Europa has a red tinge to it, and in 2001 NASA scientists revealed that it's possible that alien microbes might be responsible for the red color. The surface of the moon is mostly ice, but it has been shown that it reflects infrared radiation in a bizarre way. This means that something is binding it together, but researchers haven't been able to come up with the correct combination of elements and compounds to make the data make sense. There are some bacteria on Earth that can thrive in extreme conditions and that also have a red and brown color, which could potentially be responsible for the color on this moon. The surface temperature might be too cold for them to survive, but the warmer interior might be where they are located. Some geological activity on the moon could then push them closer to the surface, where they are then flash frozen in place.
Number 10, a bunch of paintings. Look, I might get into trouble for this, either from you or from my own family, but hey, I'm just saying what the internet says. We're talking about aliens here, so let's dabble in some speculation, shall we? Art imitates life, or so the saying goes, which is why some believe, based on depictions of Christ, that he was visited by aliens, or even maybe was one, I don't know. There, I said it. The examples I'm going to talk about are the Baptism of Christ, painted in the 1700s, and the Madonna and Saint Giovannino. The Baptism of Christ by Ert de Gelder literally shows the image of a flying saucer sending beams or lasers of light shining down on baby Jesus. Doesn't look like a sun if you ask me. Then the painting of the Madonna I mentioned, painted by Domenico Ghirlandaio 200 years earlier, literally has a flying saucer in the background. There's even a shepherd taking a minute off in the corner, just like, ooh, what's that? What is it supposed to mean? And why does this image keep turning up? Because it's gonna keep showing up in the other ones we mentioned, so let's keep going. Number 9, the spaceship panel in Seti. This is one of the weirdest series of hieroglyphic panels ever discovered. In the Temple of Seti in Abydos, Egypt, there is a panel that depicts images that look all too familiar. While some of them are a little more ambiguous, the image of a helicopter and what looked like cars the Jetsons would have driven really stand out. This caused a lot of pseudo-archaeologists to freak out because they finally had proof that the ancient Egyptians had encountered advanced technology. But more legit archaeologists continue to debunk this theory by saying that the drawings were actually a result of edited carvings. The translation even means, "He who protects Egypt and overthrows the foreign countries." I think the jury is still out on this one, to be honest. What do you guys think? Number 8, the Vatican's secret archives. Okay, I could have picked one or two, but all of it, just all of it, we just don't know what's in there. I'm putting the Vatican secret archives on this list because there is for sure evidence in that library that asks a lot of questions, or maybe even answers some. You can actually get access to them, it just takes, I don't know, the 12 trials of Hercules to get approved. Then you have to fly to Rome and go through each page by hand. There are thousands of historical documents with secrets the Vatican kept hidden from prying eyes. For example, in the 17th century, Pope Paul V ordered a select collection of documents to be sealed from the public until 1881. Researchers believe that there are documents so explosive that they threaten the doctrine of the Catholic Church. They may even contain information on messages that Giordano Bruno, we will get to him in a minute, received from extraterrestrials. The Vatican archives also contain secrets pertaining to the Fatima mystery, which brings us to the Fatima mystery. In 1917, 3 children apparently saw an apparition of the Virgin Mary in a field. Their vision prompted 70,000 people to visit the same sheep pasture and stated that they saw a spinning silver disc in the sky. The children apparently received a message from the specter that said, "We are here, we have been since thousands of years ago, and that they will return again." This entire story went to the Vatican, but apparently they censored the messages. The children received 3 messages, but the Pope refused to release the 3rd and final one, which apparently mentions the existence of extraterrestrial life. Why would they censor such a message? Can one believe in both the existence of a higher being and alien life? Apparently the Vatican doesn't think so, though we will never know until the day we finally get a hand on those documents. Giordano Bruno. Giordano Bruno was a bit of an enigma. His radical ideas and futuristic thinking have many people today wondering if he's actually a time traveler or an alien. We don't know. Bruno was born in 1548 and lived until the year 1600 and was considered one of the most adventurous thinkers of the Renaissance. I know that's not ancient, but it's old, okay? So there. I can't help but talk about it, so thank you for indulging me. Stemming from Copernicus's heliocentric theory, Bruno believed in a new philosophy. It disproved Aristotelian natural philosophy and supported the idea that the universe was infinite, animate, and had loads of solar systems like our own. What's even weirder is that Bruno even foretold theories like the many worlds hypothesis hundreds of years before quantum mechanics was even considered a thing. He even theorized about atoms and molecules. Needless to say, his radical ideas weren't welcomed by the church, especially since most of his theories were correct. Like they are, a lot of them are. No wonder people think he's a time traveler. How on earth did these ideas even get into his head? Number 5. Rock paintings in India. Archaeologists were stunned when they came across ancient rock carvings dating over 10,000 years old in a cave in Raipur. What made their jaws drop to the floor? The stark possibility that these drawings depict the visitation of ancient aliens and UFOs. NASA and the ISRO, aka the Indian Space Research Center, are trying to learn more about their origins, of course. Due diligence is key when it comes to claims like these. But upon first glance, these beings look as though they are humanoid creatures wearing spacesuits. Beliefs in the surrounding village vary, but many people believe that they are a depiction of the Rohilla people. The Rohilla people, or the small-sized ones, were people who allegedly used to land from the sky in round-shaped flying objects and steal 2 people from the village, and they'd never return. Number 4. The Antikythera mechanism. The Antikythera mechanism is one of the most mysterious ancient discoveries of all time. Found 150 feet below the surface at the Aegean Sea, divers discovered a shipwreck. During the excavation, scientists discovered one of the oldest recorded computers, dating back to 7th century BC. It was determined to be a kind of analog computer used to predict astronomical events. According to author David Childress, for scientists, this finding was equivalent to finding a jet plane in King Tut's tomb. It changed how they perceived ancient history. Due to its stark complexity, alien enthusiasts believe that this technology must have been passed down from superior beings. So, aliens. The device was replicated in order to unravel the mystery, and even more shockingly, the device could calculate the position and running time of each planet. How could a pre-epoch civilization be able to create such a device without the use of sophisticated astronomical tools? You're thinking it, I'm just saying it. Aliens. Ba-bam. Before we uncover our top 3, remember, if you like this video, do us a favor, smash that like button, punch it, poke it, boop it, whatever you want to do, and subscribe to stay up to date. It really helps us out, and we love you for it. Now for our top 3. The moving statues of Rhodes. So this actually relates to the one I just talked about. So this is cool, I'm getting 2 points in one. This relates actually to the Antikythera mechanisms, as researchers believe that the ship it was found on originates from Rhodes. Move over, Atlantis! According to some, the island of Rhodes contains some of the most advanced technology of the time. Apparently the statues would suddenly just come to life, which implies that they developed some kind of machinery over 2,000 years ago, around 1500 years too soon for any kind of robotics. Legend says that the people earned the technology from the gods, though what they could have considered gods may have been something extraterrestrial in nature. Number 2. An iron dagger. When archaeologists began excavating King Tut's tomb, it was not surprising to find many elaborate and delicate objects, but one artifact stands out from the rest: an iron dagger, delicately laid in gold with a beautiful golden sheath. Iron is a very commonplace material today. In fact, not a day goes by where we don't come in contact with it at some point. But at the time this dagger was made, the ancient Egyptians were 200 years away from the Iron Age. Iron was incredibly rare. Then they discovered ancient hieroglyphs alluding to the dagger being given to them from the heavens. Now you see where I'm going with this. The composition of the dagger was tested and they found iron, but also included nickel and cobalt, in exactly the combination that is found in meteorites. The riddle now makes sense, as the iron came from space, but where did it land? Archaeologists continue to theorize its location, though the jury is still out. So how else could they have gotten it? And And last but not least, geoglyphs. Geoglyphs are massive versions of petroglyphs, which are small drawings carved into the earth and rock. They appear all over the world in every culture. The most famous example of geoglyphs are the Nazca lines in Peru, which we've talked about on this channel before. If you find the video, post it down below to help each other out. The Nazca lines are the most popular due to the sheer size of them and variety, and many believe they hint at alien life. One of them is literally called the astronaut because that's exactly what it looks like. But to give you some more examples, there is the massive Uffington white horse found in Britain dating back to 11,000 BC, the works of the old men discovered in Jordan in the 1900s. I could go on, they're everywhere. Maybe we should do a video. Let me know if you want to. In most cases, the lines are so precise and clear that many wonder how these ancient civilizations constructed these designs when we only discovered their existence when we learned how to fly, or fly in airplanes, that is. One answer seems to make the most sense. They needed somebody above being like, move there, carve there, that one needs a little more. Aliens. Duh. The biggest question I have stemming from this list revolves around the images that keep turning up all throughout history. Why flying saucers? Where did that image come from if not from spaceships in the sky? Why when we see pre-epoch drawings on caves or devices beyond our understanding, does something inside us suspect it came from somewhere else? I believe aliens exist, but even I'll admit that the jury is still out on whether they've been here all this time. But still, who knows?
In our number 9 spot today we have methane on Mars. As we all know, we are constantly looking at Mars and searching for not only the potential for a new planet for us to live on, but also potential signs of alien life that may already exist there, or perhaps evidence of a past alien existence. In 2004, we might have found some evidence that would suggest this is a strong possibility, and that is the discovery of methane gas in the atmosphere of Mars. In that year, 3 separate groups all independently reported the finding of the methane gas, and considering almost all of the methane in Earth's atmosphere is produced by bacteria and other life, this was extremely promising for scientists. There are other possibilities for the methane, such as the thawing of frozen underground deposits, or it could be generated by volcanism, but whatever the cause, it would have to be recent, since it will either be destroyed quickly on Mars, or it will escape into the rest of space. To potentially strengthen this point, in 2005, scientists also announced that they may have found evidence of formaldehyde, which was produced by the oxidization of methane. If this is true, that will only strengthen the case for potential microbes to be found on the planet. The good news is that while all these potential signs came from almost 20 years ago, and there wasn't the technology to prove any of these claims, we now have the technology actually on the planet digging in the soil, and we are much closer to getting real answers about what is going on Mars than we ever have been before. I mean, we can see Mars in 4K, which is unreal. Before I dive into this one, guys, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying the video so far, because it really helps us out. And if the aliens ever go on YouTube, we want them to know that we like them. See what I did there? In our number 8 spot today, we have the ancient sightings. This evidence comes from long before any of us were alive, but that doesn't mean it isn't potentially important. There have of course been recent UFO sightings and sometimes even reported alien visits or abductions, but with pop culture and media, it's easy for us to write these off as hoaxes, or people who are trying to receive their 5 minutes of fame, or people who thought they saw something but were mistaken by another piece of human technology. But what about the people who claimed these kinds of sightings long before the internet or international news or even human-made flying objects existed? Even in our ancient history, there have been writings and paintings of the potentially extraterrestrial variety. As one example, the 15th century painting The Madonna with Saint Giovannino depicts the Virgin Mary, but also in the background features some sort of hovering disc-like object that looks a lot like a UFO. This isn't the only example, however, as we've also seen some sort of otherworldly beings in ancient cave paintings and Sanskrit scrolls, and there have even been some people who swear it is also written in the Book of Ezekiel. It certainly says something that potential alien sightings have existed since so far back in our human history, so it must either point to proof of alien existence or just human beings being obsessed with conspiracies right from the beginning of our existence. In our number 7 spot today, we have Titan. Many space agencies have turned their main focus on on the search for extraterrestrial life, from advanced intelligent life forms to more primitive and smaller life forms, and that starts with the smallest organisms and microbes. To help with this study and process, NASA is preparing a $4.25 billion mission to Europa, which is one of Jupiter's moons that we have previously discussed, since scientists believe it holds a strong potential for alien microbes under its icy surface. This study is aiming to be launched in 2024, which is quickly approaching, but there is another mission also in the works that is focusing on another moon that we haven't spoken yet about, and that is the moon of Saturn called Titan. In 2027, they're aiming to launch the $1 billion Dragonfly mission to this moon in order to analyze the lakes of liquid methane that exist on Titan. A planetary scientist at Johns Hopkins University who studies alien atmosphere named Sarah Horst has said that they believe Titan has all the ingredients necessary for life, so it certainly is a very promising mission. We may have to wait until 2027, but who knows? Maybe we'll find signs even before with all the upcoming missions and technological advancements. In our number 6 spot today, we have the 2021 UFO. On February 21st of this year, a blogger was using a radio scanner to try and pick up feed from an aircraft when he received much more than he ever expected. He intercepted the transmission of the wrong aircraft, but at the right time. As an American Airlines flight was headed from Cincinnati to Phoenix, around 1:19 p.m., the pilot came on the radio to ask the question, "Do you have any targets up here? We just had something go right over the top of us." After this, he followed up with, "I hate to say this, but it looked like a long cylindrical object that almost looked like a cruise missile type of thing moving really fast right over top of us." Not only were the FAA air traffic controllers not able to see any object in the area on their radar scope, but they still have been unable to identify exactly what it could have been. This does happen way more often than any of us realize, and it is possible that the object could have been part of some covert military or navy operation, but it certainly raises some alarm bells that it was unable to be tracked in any sort of capacity. I wonder if this was one of those stories that will remain a mystery, or if one day we'll get some sort of answers as to what exactly happened here. In our number 5 spot today, we have the radiation-proof bacteria. This is a sign that we could be very close to finding out more about due to the Perseverance rover that is currently searching on Mars. In 2002, Russian astrobiologists hypothesized that a bacteria here on Earth may have actually evolved on Mars. This bacteria is the most tough bacteria on Earth. It can withstand even the most extreme conditions such as cold, dehydration, vacuum, and acid, but the craziest part is that it is virtually radiation proof. These little microbes can withstand several thousand times the amount of radiation a human can withstand, as well as more radiation than any other bacteria on Earth. You can even find this bacteria on the inside of a nuclear reactor. Scientists did an experiment to see how quickly this bacteria could build up a stronger radiation resistance by zapping the bacteria with enough radiation to kill 99.9% of it, then leaving the remaining 0.1% to repopulate before zapping it again and repeating the process. It was concluded that it would have taken E. coli thousands and thousands of rounds to build up the same resistance that this hardy bacteria did in only 44 rounds. With this experiment, and based on the dose of radiation they gave each bacteria, it would take millions and millions of years to get even close to the amount of radiation they gave the bacteria in one cycle. Since Earth just doesn't carry that amount of radiation, it has led some scientists to speculate that since Mars is virtually unprotected and receives extremely high amounts of radiation, these bacteria may have evolved on Mars and gained their resistance in just a few 100,000 years, and that they may have been flung off of Mars by an asteroid and then brought to Earth on meteorites. It certainly is just a hypothesis at this point, but really, how else can we explain this random superpowered bacteria that is unlike any else on our Earth? I know these bacteria aren't the signs of alien life we are expecting and hoping for, but any alien life is exciting no matter how small. In our number 4 spot today, we have Frederick Valentich. Frederick was an Australian pilot who disappeared under some unbelievably suspicious circumstances on a training flight on October 21st, 1978. During the flight, he radioed the Melbourne air traffic control to let them know that he was being accompanied by an aircraft that was around 1,000 feet above him, and at the same time that his engine had begun to run roughly. Air traffic control responded to him by explaining that there was no known air traffic at that level, and Frederick explained he could see a large unknown aircraft with 4 bright landing lights. He explained the aircraft approached him from the east and at first thought it was another pilot playing around with him, which for the record, during a flight seems like a terrible time for someone to play a prank. He then went on to explain that the mysterious aircraft was orbiting him and had a green light on it. When air traffic control tried to get further details and asked what kind of an aircraft it was, Frederick responded by saying, "It's not an aircraft." After this, his radio transmission was interrupted by a metallic scraping sound, and this is when all contact was lost. Sea and air search began, but to no avail. There have been speculations that don't involve alien abductions, such as a staged disappearance, the possibility of Frederick getting confused and flying upside down, and potentially even him taking his own life, but all of these theories have been debunked in some sort of way, and neither the aircraft or Frederick himself have ever been found. The reason why alien abduction has been the main theory in this case is due to the fact of the many reported UFO sightings on the same night in the same region as his disappearance. It of course leaves us with more questions than answers, but it's all very interesting and very mysterious. In our number 3 spot today, we have more mysterious signals. Okay, before I get into this point, can we just take a second to talk about how many mysterious radio signals we are getting from space? In every part of these videos, I've talked about some sort of unknown signal, and I'm about to talk about another one. In 2003, astronomers on the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence project used a massive telescope that is located in Puerto Rico to take a look at 200 sections of the sky to re-examine the areas where they had once detected unexplained radio signals. During this, they found that all the previously detected signals had disappeared except for one. This one signal not only didn't disappear, but it only got stronger. The signal is coming from between the constellations of Pisces and Aries, and the curious thing about this location is that it resides in a place where there are no known obvious planets or stars. The signal is at one of the frequencies that hydrogen absorbs and emits energy, and hydrogen is of course one of the most common elements. There are scientists who believe that this is the frequency alien life would be most likely to use if they were trying to contact us. There is a possibility that this signal could be coming from some sort of natural phenomena that we just haven't had a chance to previously observe, but at this point, all options are on the table. In our number 2 spot today, we have the James Webb Space Telescope. Okay, this one is a little different than the other signs we've been talking about because this is something that is happening in October of this year that could get us closer to detecting alien life than ever before. On October 31st, 2021, NASA, in partnership with the European Space Agency and the Canadian Space Agency, will be launching the James Webb Space Telescope that is a huge and very exciting advancement. This telescope will help us solve some of the mysteries of our own solar system and will give us a better look at the distant worlds that lay outside of it. There are so many gas dwarf planets that have the strong potential of holding alien life, but we just haven't had the technology to really see and investigate them because they don't live within our solar system. These super Earths or mini Neptunes need to be investigated to see what their atmospheres contain because it is very possible they are showing signs of life even if it is only microbes. Once this telescope is in orbit, it will unfold a 5-layered sun shield that will reach the size of a tennis court, and then after this a 6.5 meter primary mirror will be deployed, and this will give the telescope the power to detect faint light from stars and galaxies that lie far, far away. I know this isn't a sign of alien life yet, but the potential is absolutely amazing. Even if we don't detect alien life, we are still getting so much valuable information, and any step forward is a step closer to us finding alien life if it exists. In our number 1 spot today, we have the astronaut sightings. We can sit here on Earth all day and talk about the potential for alien life, but who would know more than the people who have actually been to space, which are of course astronauts. Definitely on the list of coolest and scariest jobs in the entire world, there haven't been a ton of people who have had the unbelievable privilege of experiencing space firsthand, but there are even less of them who have claimed to see something that could potentially be proof of alien existence. People who have claimed these sorts of things include Edgar Mitchell, Catherine Coleman, and Dr. Brian O'Leary. The very interesting part about many of these claims is that they also include some sort of government cover-up as well with their claims. There was also Buzz Aldrin, who spoke about his Apollo 11 experience, and he detailed the crew seeing something flying alongside them, and at first they believed it was the final stage of a detached rocket, but the mission control confirmed that it was actually 6,000 miles away from them, leaving them with absolutely no answers on what the flying object could actually be. I can't imagine going to space at all, let alone encountering a UFO flying right beside you. I also can't believe I hadn't heard of that story before because to me that sounds a lot like full-blown alien contact.